In the earlier session, we tried to understand various types of shorelines and their characteristics. We have also studied about the evolution of various shoreline landforms in the earlier session. Like fluvial process, thus the shoreline process also undergoes the cyclic evolution of landforms. Though the cycle of erosion is similar along the shoreline of emergence and submersion. What is the economic significance of the shoreline of emergence and submergence? In the process of shoreline evolution, what type of shore profiles are developed? With these questions in mind, the objectives of the lesson set forth are to study the cycle of erosion in the shoreline of submergence, to study the cycle of erosion in the shoreline of emergence, to know about the economic significance of shoreline of emergence and submersions, and to understand various shoreline profiles. Marine cycle of erosion. As in case of running water, marine erosion also follows a cycle of erosion. There is, however, a limit to which erosion can proceed with a static sea level. In the initial stage, most of the coasts are irregular, but the general tendency of the normal erosion is to make the coast regular in the course of time. In case of different types of rocks on the coast, there is a tendency in the young stage for the increase in irregularity in the coast on account of differential rate of erosion of hard and soft rocks. The coast or the shore pass through various stages of evolution of landscape under the action of sea waves in the same way as the landscape experiences under fluvial process. The sea waves and currents do not affect the coast of submergence and emergence in the same way. It is therefore necessary to study the two coasts separately. Cycle of erosion along the shoreline of submergence. In the initial stage, the coast of submergence is initiated when the coast starts showing signs of submergence. The shape of the coast is greatly affected by the pre-submerged state. The initial stage of marine cycle of erosion of shoreline of submergence begins with the submergence of the coastal areas due to the rise in the sea level and subsidence of the coastal land. The coastline is submerged under the sea due to the transgression of the sea on mainland. Rise in the sea level may be either due to rise in the oceanic floor due to tectonic factors or due to the return of meltwater locked in the form of ice sheets on the continents during the ice age. The initial form of shoreline of submergence may be a ria or the fjord course. The lower segments of the rivers at their mouths are submerged. The initial submerged coastline is highly irregular, characterized by numerous embayments, coves, headlands, inlets, islands, etc. The youthful stage. Marine waves, mainly swash or the breaker waves or the surf currents, erode exposed coastline through the mechanism of hydraulic action, aberration or corrosion. The uprushing high energy storm waves attack densely jointed rocks and dislodge the larger blocks. Consequently, the coastline is highly indented and becomes highly irregular. In the youthful stage, the sea cliff related erosional features are formed. Numerous coves and headlands are formed due to differential erosion of coastal rocks. The breaker waves notch the rocks at the water level and thus initiates the formation of sea cliffs. In the beginning, the cliffs are low in the height and are imperfectly developed. Gradually, the cliffs are sharpened due to regular erosion at the cliff base. Wave-cut platforms are formed in front of the cliffs due to regular landward recession of the sea cliffs. Though the early youth is dominated by erosional work, but some depositional features are also developed, such as beaches in the backshore zone. Several coastal features such as marine arch, stacks, caves, etc. are visible along the coast. Late youth is characterized by maximum development of wave-cut platforms as they become more extensive due to progressive recession of the cliffs. Most of the erosional features start disappearing and numerous depositional features are formed, such as bars, offshore bars, spits, connecting bars, hooks and loops, tombolos, beaches, etc. Several types of beaches such as shore beaches, headland beaches, bay head beaches, berms, etc. are developed. Most of the bays are enclosed by bars and thus lagoons are formed. Cliffs are fully developed and thus the coast becomes almost vertical. Maturity stage. Most of the features developed during the youthful stage are obliterated. That is, most of the landforms built during the youthful stage are destroyed. In the late maturity stage, the coastal cliffs retreat and all the depositional feature excepting distant cliff disappears. Profile of equilibrium is attained due to the balance in the rate of erosion and deposition. Most of the depositional features are destroyed by late maturity and the coastline becomes almost straight and regular. The coast continuously recedes backwards. The lagoon starts filling up. The height and the gradient of the coastline decrease significantly. Old stage. Coast and shore are significantly lowered in height because of the continued weathering and erosion. Adjoining land areas are eroded down to sea level. Thus the coast and shore becomes straight and slope gently towards the sea. It may be pointed out that this may be possible only when crustal stability for a longer period. It is obvious that the conditions of the old stage are only theoretically possible because coasts are affected by emergence and submergence due to diastrophic forces. The old stage in the marine erosion is abstract and theoretical concept. The processes or erosion, transportation and deposition continue even in the old stage. Since the coasts are affected by submergence and emergence, the old stage is never attained. In general, the coastal areas are converted into low plain of uniform height. This plain is inclined towards the sea by a gentle slope, and the junction between the land and the sea takes a form of a straight line. At the end of the old stage, a plain of marine erosion appears, which is completely submerged under the water. Economic significance of the submerged shores. The submerged shore is economically important from the navigation point of view. In youthful stage, there are deep gulfs where good harbors develop. Good and secure harbors developed along the coast of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, France and UK. Economic activities like fishing, shipbuilding and other port related activities developed along the submerged shore. Rail and roadways are constructed on the tombolos so that transport with the islands situated away from the coast can be established. Cycle of erosion along the shoreline of emergence. Shoreline of emergence is evolved either due to the upliftment of the coastal land in relation to the sea level because of the tectonic events, or due to the fall in the sea level because of the subsidence of the ocean floor. Initially, shorelines of emergence are straight and regular. Coastal plains extend for greater distance in sea water, but their gradient is quite gentle. There is a gradual slope from the coast towards the sea. Since the depth of the water is shallow, most of the sea waves break in the offshore zone. The breakers erode the coast to form notch and small cliffs. Such small cliffs are called as nips. Submarine bars are formed due to the deposition of sediments on the submerged coastal plains. The submarine bars gradually grow in height and are aligned parallel to the coast. The landscape evolved under different stages of cycle of erosion is described as under. Youthful stage. When the coastal areas rises relative to the sea, the part of the shore submerged under the water gets out of the reach of the sea waves. The water is shallower near the coast and deepens away from the coast into the sea. The youthful stage of the marine cycle of erosion on the shoreline of emergence begins with the appearance of submarine bars above the sea level. Numerous independent small bars are united and thus form offshore bars. These offshore bars protect the coast from sea erosion. Sea water locked between the coast and the offshore bars becomes lagoons. Sea waves break the offshore bars at some places and thus make their way to the lagoons. Such openings in the offshore bars are called as tidal inlets. Lagoons are filled with sediments brought by the rivers and wind. Sometimes lagoons become swamps and marshes because of vegetation. In the middle of the youth stage, a submarine bar becomes so high and some of its parts appear above the sea. In the beginning, the bar looks like an island, but later it coalesces to form barrier islands. The lagoon develops between the coast and the barrier island. Late youth is characterized by the migration of the offshore bars towards the coast. Seaward side of these bars is steepened due to their erosion by storm waves. Eroded materials are deposited by sea waves on the landward side of these bars. This process causes gradual shifting of offshore bars coastward. With the result, lagoon becomes narrower and shallower. Maturity stage. In the beginning of this stage, offshore bars, lagoons, swamps and marshes, tidal inlets, etc. are destroyed. Sea waves erode the submerged coastal platform up to wave base. Most of the coastal irregularities are obliterated and the coastline becomes simple and straight. In the maturity stage, the barrier island reaches the shore and subsequently becomes a part of the shore. The slope of the coast becomes steep and the depth of the water increases. The old stage. The development of the old stage of the marine cycle of erosion on shoreline of emergence can be deduced theoretically only, as its practicality is not possible. The old stage is practically not possible owing to either emergence or submergence of the coast. In the old stage, the sequence of shoreline follows broadly the same pattern as in case of the submergent coast. In other words, in old stage, marine erosion results in the low coast and shoreline, and the adjacent land is also eroded to form a low-lying plain. The cliffs retreat gradually and make the coast levelled and straight. The condition results the same when the coast has risen. The question which arises is, what is the difference between the old stage and the beginning of the youth stage? Though the conditions in both the stages look alike externally, yet there are differences in the submerged part. In the early youth, the sea is shallow and the waves break down away from the coast, but the sea is deeper near the coast in the old stage, and the waves break down near the coast. Economic significance of the coastline of emergence. The coastlines of emergence are generally straight and uniform, both in the beginning and the old stage. Good harbours don't develop along the coastline of emergence. It is necessary to dredge the sea bottom to keep the harbours open for ships to approach the coast. Ships can also pass through the inlets of the barrier islands. Galveston Port is situated at an inlet or the barrier island. Many centres of tourism have developed on the barrier islands. Shoreline profiles. Retrogradation of shoreline. A shoreline which is being extended landward by the wave attack is said to be retrograding. A shoreline under the wave attack is gradually being extended landward is the retrograding shoreline. During retrogradation, recession of the sea cliff will proceed at different rates along the coast depending on the type of rocks and openness of the shore to wave attack. The indentations of a coast may result from differential rate of marine erosion. The features like coves, bays, headlands, sea caves, stacks are associated with retrograding shoreline. Progradation of the shoreline. A shoreline of progradation is the one which is being extended seaward. During the progradation, there will be coastal advance which results either from constructional progradation or emergence. Sometimes the pebbles, shingles, sand and other sediments are deposited over the wave-cut platform. The deposits of wave-cut platform and the ridges of sand at the coast help in the process of progradation. Such a process is going on at the southeast coast of India. Equilibrium of shoreline profile. The coast is subjected to marine erosion as well as deposition. The erosion and deposition are mutually interrelated and try to attain an equilibrium in its shore profile. When the rate of sediments deposited on the shore by the process of deposition is similar to that eroded by the process of marine erosion, such an equilibrium is attained between the rate of erosion and deposition by the wave action is called as equilibrium of shore profile. Such a profile of equilibrium is called as ideal profile, which is more or less a surface with gradual slope. If the coast has a steeper slope than the ideal profile, there will be deposition on the lower parts and erosion on the higher parts. If a coast has lesser slope, the erosion will have on the lower part and the deposition in the higher part, and the rate of erosion and deposition is similar or attains equilibrium along the shore. To sum up, regarding the shoreline profiles that develops, it is seen that in case of progradation of shoreline, there will be seaward advance of the coast due to the construction or the depositional activity. A retrograding shoreline will get extended landward due to erosional activity. In case of equilibrium of shoreline profile, the rate of erosion and deposition activity will be similar. Conclusion. It is seen that the landscape developed by the sea waves in the various stages of cycle of erosion, both in case of shoreline of submergence and emergence, are not similar. In the youthful stage of the shoreline of submergence, the sea cliff related features are formed. The early youth is characterized by the erosional work. Cliffs are fully developed and the coast becomes vertical. In the maturity stage, the coastal cliffs retreat and profile of equilibrium is attained. At the end of the old stage, the plane of marine erosion appears, which is completely submerged under the water. The coastline of submergence has a great significance from the point of view of location of ports and harbors. The youthful stage of the shoreline of emergence shows the presence of offshore bars, lagoons, tidal inlets, etc. In the maturity stage, the barrier islands reach the coast and the slope of the coast becomes steep. In the old stage, the sea cliffs retreat and make the coast leveled and straight. In case of progradation, the shoreline, there will be a seaward advance of the coast due to constructional or depositional activity. In the process of retrogradation, the shoreline will get extended landward due to erosional activity. In case of profile of equilibrium, the rate of erosion and deposition activity will be similar.